Welcome back to the channel. In our last video, we compared ChatGPT and DeepSeek AI, and it was a fun thing to do. But soon after that, I realized quite a few changes have appeared in all the leading players in this field, and we have got a new player as well, the Qwen AI by Alibaba Cloud team. Now, Qwen itself is not a new player to this game, but they have improved substantially in the last few days. So overall, I spent some time playing around and testing how they hold their ground when some easy and difficult problems are thrown at them, and how easy do they make it for the beginner developers. I'm planning a video to test these models for advanced use cases also, but more on that topic later. For now, let's dive in and see if all this hype and these changes are actually helpful, at least for beginner devs in learning, and also maybe for startup founders to test their prototypes. For the first test, we are going to test the analytical might of these models. Let's see how well they do over a common puzzle which you might have seen during school times. It takes a bit of thinking for human mind, so let's see how well the AI performs on this test. The question goes like this. There are 25 horses, among which you need to find out the fastest 3 horses. You can conduct a race among at most 5 to find out their relative speed. At no point you can find out the actual speed of the horses in a race. Find out the minimum number of races which are required to get the top 3 horses. Here in front of me, I have the 3 AI models open. We have DeepSeek, we have ChatGPT, and we have the Qwen 2.5. I'm going to run this same question over all the 3 AIs and we'll compare the results. We are going to test all the models on the correctness of answer, the speed of answering, and the amount of details they have put in the answer. Okay, so we have the 3 models in front of us. We'll start with the incumbent, the ChatGPT. ChatGPT did not have a reasoning model available for free just a few days back. But now, since it's there, we are going to enable the reason option and see how it goes. Okay, so as you can see, it has given the correct answer. 7 is supposed to be the correct answer. The speed of answering was fairly good. And if we see, it has put up a good amount of reasoning before it answered. Alright, let's move on. 1, 2, 3, 4 test. Alright, next up is DeepSeek R1, whose USP has always been the reasoning model being available for free. Let's see how this model performs on our 3 criterias. Let's go. Alright, so DeepSeek model is also done. Well, this was wow. I must say I'm blown away by the miraculous performance here. Let me take a minute and summarize what actually went here. You must have noticed the model failed to answer at all during the first 2 attempts, which is not a problem ideally because it's a high traffic or a server constraint issue, not a model issue, so we are going to let it slide. Next thing we noticed is the amount of thinking that happened here is very impressive. The model actually went through all the scenarios and it did that really fast. It then tested its answer from the first stage of thinking all over again and then evaluated if the top 3 horse evaluation can be achieved in 6 attempts as well. Which, if you ask me, is a very impressive approach, very similar to what I would expect an interview candidate or a student to think like. Then it ran the approach over a few more examples and then established the hypothesis to be true. After all the thinking, it later presented the answer in a nice readable form, so I would rate this high on all 3 criterias, despite the initial failure, which as I already mentioned are not related to the model. Alright, now it's time to test the latest and last entry to our testing series, the Qwen 2.5 model. Let's hit run. So let's do an evaluation of what went down here. The answer is correct, of course. We have got 7 here. The next part is speed of work, which I would say is also fast. We faced some network issues maybe, so some of the tokens actually came in batch instead of in a conversation form. This is not a problem for our evaluation since we need to evaluate the overall speed only. The last and most important piece is the reasoning. We see little to no reasoning here, even less than what ChatGPT provided, and definitely nowhere comparable to the DeepSeek model. I gave Qwen another try with the QWQ 32 billion parameters model. It's down here. It provided me with the code to run this and test myself. I didn't ask for it though. And most important part being, none of these runs of Qwen actually seems to have thought through this problem. So I'm going to rate this model lower compared to the DeepSeek overall. Alright, as much as this was fun, I think this was too basic of a test for these models. We'll raise the bar for testing in this next fun stage. For this next part, I'm going to bring in one more model for comparison, the Claude Sonnet, working with Tray AI. We would ask all models or tools to create a simple game for us. The game is going to be the Dino Game from Chrome, which we see when Chrome cannot connect to the internet. We will ask these tools for models to create both the backend logic and the front end. We will evaluate all of these models on correctness, ease of work, usability of the final app, and the UI created by them. Let's start with ChatGPT once again. There have been a lot of changes to the ChatGPT. Now in the latest model it supports online preview as well, which is a great thing to have. Let's start on the task. I have kept the question statement on the clipboard, so I'll just go ahead, paste it to the conversation, and let's see how this goes. We are going to evaluate the DeepSeek last in this run because of the lack of logistic ease on it right now. Alright, I have pasted my prompt here. Let's see how it goes. Let me go to the preview and see how this is working. Wow, this sucks. The dino is able to jump. Besides that, nothing else seems to be working. The obstacles functionality is broken. There is no scorekeeping. The UX is also not that good. Sorry, but I would rate this only a weak 2 out of 5. Next up is Qwen 2.5, the latest offering from Alibaba Cloud. Let's see how this delivers on the exact same prompt. Let me paste it to the conversation and we'll see how this goes. I'm enabling the artifacts option so we can get a quick preview of what is happening. Fingers crossed. The speed of generation wise, I think both ChatGPT and Qwen are similar. We'll compare the final results soon. Let's see how this one works. Okay, I think this is good work. The dino is jumping on spaces. We can see randomized obstacles. There is scorekeeping at the top. The UX is not so good. There is no floor below the dino or obstacles. And in the end, you don't get a proper message. It just says game over. I would rate this a 3.5 out of 5 for these reasons. Next up, we have Claude Sonnet behind the Tray AI IDE. I'm going to use the builder mode, which does most of the work for us and also helps us to run the apps quickly. Let's see how this old model performs compared to the new ones. I have lots of hopes from this one since it's something I use on daily basis and I can vouch for its usability. Here we go. I have added one more line at the end of the prompt so that it can help me run the app also once it's done. Now it's asking me to start the server. Done. Now we can see in the web view. Okay, let's hit preview once more. Hmm. I think this is a nice job. The basics are there. The dino is able to jump on pressing the space. There is proper scorekeeping. The overall game aesthetics are reasonable. I think the only thing stopping this from being a great score is just the lack of randomization, which could have been a great addition. So I would rate this a solid 4 out of 5. Okay, next up we have the DeepSeek model by Highflyer team. We will use the same prompt here as well. The only difference being I would probably need to copy paste the code to cursor to make this work. But we'll give the DeepSeek UI a try first. Let's see how this goes. I'm not enabling the DeepThink R1 because I'm facing a lot of failures when I'm enabling the DeepThink R1. Let's see how this goes. The speed of code generation was fairly good, and I think one good thing that it has done is it has kept everything in one file. This is not ideally a good practice, but this makes our life very easy. Okay, I think this is a fairly good response. The basics are in place. The Dino is able to jump on space. There is scorekeeping. There is a floor below the obstacles in Dino. There is proper end message at the end of the game. What I didn't like here is that there is no randomization on the size or on the gaps between the obstacles, which makes the game pretty much unplayable. So although it's a great delivery, I would rate it a 3 out of 5. For the last part of the video, let's summarize things. Overall ratings are on the screen. I'll add my comments to this one by one. ChatGPT. Short answer, it's looking bad for ChatGPT. The added preview option is a great move to stay updated. I'm sure after some debugging we could have got better code accuracy from ChatGPT, but this test was about doing great in the first attempt. Next, we have Qwen. Short answer, it's good. I really like the overall accuracy of the code generation. There was a quick built-in preview and added benefits for being able to generate images and videos. ChatGPT can also do images but not videos yet. So I would rate the Qwen model a little bit higher than ChatGPT. DeepSeek. Short answer, it's also good. Seems to have the good accuracy code-wise. It's struggling with load right now, needs to invest more on its infra, and need to grow fast on images and videos maybe. ClaudeSonnet. Well, the short answer is it's good. It's reliable for code generation, but, and a big one at that, it provides no extra features, so it's sort of behind all these models. But from my long term usage and new IDEs like Tray, I think it holds a good future for itself, at least in the programming communities. Let's talk a bit about what each model is good for. First up, we have ChatGPT. General use cases over a wide spectrum, and I think it's making good strides with Operator. Second, we have DeepSeek. Unbeatable at reasoning, it's best at explaining its response, can be run locally, so it's very safe. Next up, we have Qwen. Qwen is useful for moderate to advanced use cases. I think you need to read the privacy policy first before pouring in your data. And the last one is Cloud Sonnet. Very reliable at programming tasks, but I think maybe it's time it should venture into new areas like image processing and video processing. That's all I had in this video for you. See you next time.